morning, everybody. Welcome to 10-4 powered by WOW. My name is Robin Shatzkin, and I'm the host of today's event. And we are so excited to have one of our WOW members and a good friend of mine, Amy Geffen, PhD, to talk about some really important things that everybody needs to keep their eyes on, especially in a world where we get a little complacent about our professionalism, about our resumes and job searches. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Amy Geffen, PhD and career coach.
Thank you, Robin, for that kind introduction. Just a few words about me. I have over 30 years of work experience in various fields: teaching, college administration, association management, in finance, in engineering. And 10 years ago, I lost a job. I had to find another job. I got career coaching, and I also took training to become a career coach. I continue to work full-time during the day and started my coaching practice. So I've been coaching for 10 years. So let's start it on ways to get unstuck. Now, as Elliot Portman pointed out, those of us who are in WOW, most of us, are running our own business. So it's not like, oh, we lose a job, we have to find a job. But we all know people who are working for a company or an association or a nonprofit, and they're not happily employed. They want to find something else, but they don't know what they want to find. Or someone who has a college graduate, a young person who's recently graduated and needs to find a job. Or we know someone who's been laid off. So if any of these people have been looking for work and they're getting stuck, here are some things. Here are some ways that they can get unstuck. So we're going to talk about different ways: building your network, reviewing your personal brand online, thinking outside the box, practice your pitch, telling your stories, working with a recruiter, asking for advice, tapping into the hidden job market, and creating a job search target map, which is essentially a list of companies where you want to work. Or in our case, if you're running a business, a list of companies that you want to get into to market your product or services. So expanding your network. We're all business people. We know how to network. We belong to networks. But you'd be surprised at how many people who are working who know the people they've worked with, but that's it. They don't think about networking as a way to meet new people. So there are 5 ways to expand a network. One is to join a professional association. We all know lawyers belong to the ABA, doctors belong to the AMA, neonatal nurses, NAPNAP. I'm telling you, every job title or field has at least one or more organizations that you can belong to. And why? Because you can meet other people, get information, share resources, go to meetings. Alumni association. If you have graduated from a high school, a community college, a 4-year college, a graduate school, or gone to some certification program or licensing program, that college or school has its own website on LinkedIn. It has its own profile in addition to its website, and you can meet people that way. You don't even have to join the association. You can go to the website and look for alumni and meet them based on their city or their company where they work. A club that reflects your personal interests. How many of us belong to a tennis club, a golf club, a book club? Volunteering. You volunteer because you're passionate about something, whether it's cleaning up the local park or working at a food bank. You're meeting other people who are passionate about that. They share your interests and they have their network. Or joining a civil or religious organization. What I counsel my clients to do is to connect to 5 new people every week. 5 new people every week, and then you have to start building a relationship. How do you get the meetings? You can get introduced to someone from someone you already know. You can write directly to the hiring manager, someone above your job title, and then you follow up with an email or a phone call. Let's say you get a meeting with this new person. You want to talk about yourself. You want to ask them questions. What are your challenges? What can I do for you? And then after you've had a little conversation at the end, what you want to do is ask this new person if they could introduce you to someone, or if they can give you the name of a company or 2 to add to your list. And at the end, you have to ask, do you know anyone who works at these companies? And you share your list of companies. Can you introduce me to that person? Can you think of other companies? And you thank them. And then you follow up again. Whenever you meet with someone, you need to follow up with an email, not only saying thank you, but mentioning your skills, your accomplishments. Online branding, personal branding messaging. Your online profile on LinkedIn. If you just have a resume, that's not enough, because your LinkedIn profile can add many more pieces of information. You can add keywords in your heading, in your about section, in your experience section. What about social media profiles on Facebook? You have to really be careful about Facebook, though, because you don't want to show anything that might be detrimental. You can be sure that a hiring manager is going to look at your Facebook page, and you don't want them to see you drinking at a party. Okay, so you do have to be careful about Facebook. If you're changing careers, let's say the person you know is moving from one industry to another, or changing from one job title to another, that person needs to rewrite their LinkedIn profile about section to explain what they're going for, that they have had experience in X, but now they're looking for Y. Key skills. This is the clue. This is the key to everything in your resume, in your pitch, in your LinkedIn profile. You have to have your key skills and keywords in the heading, in the accomplishments, in the about section, context. Now, the other important thing about LinkedIn, years ago, everyone had 2 or 3 references on his or her resume. We don't do that anymore. However, on LinkedIn, it's imperative that you have 4 to 5 recommendations, and they need to be recent. So if you have something from 2018 or 2010, you can go back to the same people and ask them to write another recommendation, because then it will show up as 2024. Or you go to some more recent people with whom you have worked, or they have been clients of yours or vendors, etc., and ask for a recommendation. Very, very important. Thinking outside the box. Okay, let's say you're stuck in your job search, things aren't happening. Well, maybe you should think about something different. Freelancing, volunteering, going for a remote job, because then you can apply to companies that are geographically out of your purview. Maybe you can apply your skills, as I have done in the past, to a different field. I went from teaching to college administration to distance learning to association management. Each time I used the skills that I had and I transferred them to another job title in another field, and I convinced the people I was interviewing with that, yes, I could do the job for them because I had the skills. Or maybe you're thinking too narrowly. Some of my clients do want to start their own business. They do want to become consultants. So that's another possibility. Starting your consulting business. As we all know, what are your skills? What advice are you going to offer? You can work with a mentor from SCORE, the Service Corps for Retired Execs. It's free. I can't tell you how many of my clients can't believe that. Yes, you can get a free mentor from SCORE. You can get a free business template from the Small Business Administration. And as a coach, I can help you complete your business plan. You have to develop a marketing plan. You should work with a business coach. Now, you may need experts. So when my clients talk to me about starting a business and I help them initially, then I say, well, do you need a business attorney? I can introduce you. A branding specialist, website, logo, brochure, a writer for copy, a CPA, a professional photographer. So once again, because I'm part of a big network, as we all are, we can introduce this person to some other experts to help them with their business. Working with recruiters. Now, recruiters don't work for the person looking for the job. The recruiters do work for the company that is paying them to find candidates. That said, it's important for someone who's looking for a job to build a relationship with a recruiter. Talking to the recruiter, getting the interview, even if there are no jobs at the moment, there may be jobs in the next month or 3 months or 6 months. And maybe this person can offer the recruiter some suggestions of candidates for the jobs the recruiter is filling now. So very important that you talk to a recruiter. And depending upon your field, you might want to have a portfolio. If, of course, you're a photographer or you're in design, you want a portfolio with photographs, but other people can have portfolios too. If you're a writer, a newsletter writer, a press release writer. So recruiters get tons of people applying to them. So if you can get a recommendation from someone you know or someone in your association, that would be better, because then you'll get in to see the recruiter. Ask for advice. Some people feel they have to go on their own. Reach out to your network, maybe tenured members in your field, ask them for 20 minutes of their time, say you're looking for career advice. You never say to someone who's new or a contact that you want them to help you find a job. You're looking for advice. If your research indicates that this person has already made a career change too, then you can ask them on tips. How did you find success? And of course, you can work with someone like me, a career coach. ATS. I can't tell you how many of my clients answer ads online. That's the only thing they're doing to find a job. And 6 months later, crickets, okay? One of my clients answered 170 ads. No kidding, 170 ads, got 2 interviews. So I said to him, so how's that working out for you? It's not a good use of people's time. They still do it. So if you're going to answer an ad online, you got to answer it within 24 hours. You have to use the exact keywords and phrases that are in the job description. And when they ask for salary, you can't put in a real number, because that'll knock you out. If it's too high or too low, it'll knock you out. So put in $1,000, $10,000. But you still have to network your way into the company. See if you can get the name and email address of the hiring manager, which usually is not on the ad online. So you have to use your network to see if you can find out that person's name and write directly to that person. Keep a list. I ask all my clients to make 2 lists. 1, a list of all their network contacts, everyone they know, friends, family, former colleagues, teammates, other people they know. A list of companies or organizations where you would like to work. And then you can keep track. Every time you've contacted someone, every time you send an email, every time you have an interview, you can keep track of your people and you can keep track of the jobs. Create a schedule. If you are working, you need to spend 10 to 15 hours a week looking for a job. If you're not working, that is your job. When I was not working, I was spending 35 to 40 hours a week making phone calls, writing emails, arranging for interviews, going on interviews, researching, you name it. It's a job, and you have to be organized. You have to set aside time to do all the work. So, what are the best ways to get unstuck? Build your network, identify your online brand, work with a recruiter who's recommended, think outside the box of other possibilities, freelancing, starting your own business. Ask for advice. Don't be afraid to ask for advice. Find the hidden job market, which are not the ads online. If you answer ads online, outsmart the ATS, the applicant tracking system. Use a job tracker, which is essentially an Excel spreadsheet, and schedule your time. That's it. You want to contact me? Here's my contact information. Happy to chat. For those of you in this network, of course, I'm always open for one-to-ones. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amy. There's a tremendous amount of information here. And just a reminder that when you see the recording, all of her slides and everything else will be available. So to make sure that you download this, because there's a lot of information, and I'm going, oh, wait a minute, I should be taking notes. I'm like, I should be writing down notes. So not to worry for anybody watching, you will be able to get this. The recording will be available. So I'm going to open up the floor right now for questions for Amy before we go into breakout rooms, while everything is fresh in everybody's head. So if you want to raise your hands, or if you want to just reach out right now, let's open it up. Anybody have any questions for Amy? Mark.
Honey, I'm on a call now. I can't talk to you.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's one resource that you didn't mention, Amy, and I wonder what your thoughts are about it. SBDC, the Small Business Development Center.
Yes.
There's one at Farmingdale here, but they're all over the country.
Yep, that's another resource for people who want to start their own business. Thank you for that, Mark.
Yeah, I worked with SCORE, and I found SBDC was far more helpful, and they gave me
Yep.
an individual coach that I spoke with almost weekly.
Right, right. Because sometimes you go to SCORE and they take forever. You're looking for a mentor and they say they can give you one, but they don't. You're right. Very
Yeah,
good.
and they also, they're very specialized. They're like, well, we'll give you someone who works just with marketing. We'll give you someone who works just with, your website, someone who works. It was very niche,
Yeah.
the help from
That's
SCORE, rather than like broad.
general, right? Very general.
Yeah.
You're right. Thank you. Other
Anybody else have any-
questions? Just
Nancy,
Nancy, no, good, ma'am.
Yeah, Amy, I differ with Mark in terms of my interaction with SCORE. And nowadays, I talk to people about business mentors really being like a counselor. If you go to a counselor and you don't jive, you
Go
get
to the
another counselor. And in SCORE, they have a national database of people available that you can get your mentorship via Zoom and that sort of thing. So really, and of course, if you only stick with your local chapter, you're going to have more limited availability. But I always recommend people who are starting a new business to take advantage of that free resource.
Sure.
Yeah.
Free is good.
you see, Meryl,
Excellent presentation. And what it also made me think of was your talk for people looking for work. This is pretty much great sales training. This is research, asking questions, setting up interviews, asking questions, finding out, asking questions. So also this is for people who were first job hunting and then deciding, well, maybe I should start their own business. This is absolutely great training also to when they actually start their own business.
so Amy, so I have a question for you, and it's really about transition. So when somebody is transitioning from a career, going to 9 to 5, there's no 9 to 5 anymore, but going into an office every day, transitioning to a different area, but also possibly a different type of job. Is there any kind of advice that you can throw out there, or is there any difference in how you feel to go about something like that? Because your LinkedIn profile has been 30 years of all of your experiences and now you're doing a job and a life shift, because I know a lot of people are kind of doing something like that. Are there changes that you would make to your advice?
Okay, so basically, as with all clients, whether they're staying in the same field, same job, or they're transferring, I start with an assessment. What are their accomplishments? What are their best accomplishments? What are they proud of? And then what are the skills that they have used in each of those accomplishments? The object is to pull out their strongest skills, because the skills form the foundation of what can they do next. And then once we do that, so it's 3 exercises, accomplishment stories, skills, and then we do a brainstorming. What are your top 5 or 6 skills? And what are your top interests? And what kind of jobs can we brainstorm that fit your skills and your interests? And then we can come up with 2 or 3 or 4 different possibilities. I'll give something simple. Let's say you're good at writing and you love to travel. So yeah, maybe you could be a travel writer. All right, let's say you're good at sales and you're into computers. So maybe you could be a computer salesperson. I mean, that's the kind of thing it is. You can't start from nothing. You can't just decide, oh, I want to be a rocket scientist. It's not going to happen.
Okay, great. Thank you. Juan, I saw your hand up before. Do you have a question?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have great presentation, Amy.
Thank you.
I love the part that the LinkedIn that you mentioned about the LinkedIn, that you said if it's outdated, make sure you get an updated testimonial, because you're right. You're absolutely right. I've seen so many testimonials on LinkedIn that it's like 2001, 2003. I'm like, that's an old to review. So you definitely want to keep your reviews and testimonials up to date. So I love that. The other thing, I love the part that you said, build your network. I mean, that's very obvious. You have to build your network. How are you going to, as the old saying, the closed mouth doesn't get fed. You have to go out there and build a network and build the brand. But the also thing which is really important you mentioned was the follow up. And that is so important that a lot of people don't really follow up or follow through when you meet somebody at a network event or they start to network, because it's so important to nurture those relationships. Like it's like watering a plant. You got to keep on nurturing, calling. And I know I called a lot of you guys. I call everybody like once in a while just to checking in. Hey, call up. How you doing? But it's always, to see that. And sometimes it's out of sight of the mind, but you become like a brand. And we're going to be talking about this later in our things that the more you're in people's face, you become more of a brand. You become synonymous, like Ray Schweppes. I know Ray because I think of Jovia immediately. He's become a brand. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just using that example. And the other thing was building relationships. Again, that's so crucially important, building those relationships, because they create opportunities down the road, not at the immediate moment. And before you know it, I mean, I'll give you an example. My friend Lewis, my friend Lewis from Lewis Cano from IBM, he worked 30 years from IBM, and he supports us without we use his Q app, and he's a big major supporter, and we work together. But I never thought when about 20 years ago when I met him, I would be working with him. You just never know. That's what I'm saying. So we're building those relationships. They'll never know. They'll open more doors and opportunities. But thank you so much, and great presentation.
Awesome. All right, so we're gonna